There comes a moment in every life when the noise fades, when the excuses run out, when the mirror stops lying. And in that moment, you are faced with a single, terrifying truth. The distance between who you are and who you could become is not measured in time. It is measured in courage. Most people will never cross that distance, not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack opportunity, but because they never learn to execute without fear. They wait, they hesitate, they negotiate with doubt, and while they are busy preparing for the perfect moment, life quietly passes them by. But not you, not anymore. Because something inside you has awakened a vision, a hunger, a restless, undeniable pull towards something greater. You can feel it in your chest when the world is silent. You can hear it in your thoughts when distractions fade. It's that voice that refuses to settle, that refuses to accept mediocrity as a destiny. That voice is your future calling you forward. And here is the truth most people will never accept. Your vision is not random. It was not placed inside you by accident. It is a blueprint, a responsibility, a demand. The same force that drove Thomas Edison to endure thousands of failed experiments before illuminating the world, the same force that pushed Henry Ford to challenge an entire industry, that said his ideas were impossible, the same force that carried Walt Disney through rejection after rejection before building an empire of imagination, that force lives inside you. But here's the difference between them and the millions who dream but never become. They executed relentlessly, ruthlessly, without waiting for permission, without needing certainty, without allowing fear to dictate their actions. And that is where your transformation begins, not with more thinking, not with more planning, but with execution. Because a vision without execution is nothing more than a hallucination, and a dream without discipline is just a comforting lie. You must understand the nature of fear if you ever hope to conquer it. Fear is not your enemy. It is your signal. It is the mind's way of warning you that you are stepping beyond the boundaries of your current identity, that you are entering unfamiliar territory where growth is required. But most people misinterpret fear. They see it as a stop sign. You must learn to see it as a green light, because everything you want, every level of success, every breakthrough, every transformation exists on the other side of what you are currently afraid to do. Fear is the gatekeeper of your next level, and it asks only one question: will you move anyway? The truth is, you will never feel ready. Readiness is a myth created by those who are too afraid to begin. When Abraham Lincoln faced repeated failures in business and politics, he was not ready. When Andrew Carnegie built his empire from nothing, he was not ready. They were willing, and willingness is more powerful than readiness will ever be, because willingness leads to action, and action creates clarity. You do not think your way into confidence. You act your way into it. Every step you take rewires your belief system. Every risk you face and survive strengthens your identity. Every moment you choose action over hesitation, you become someone new. This is the process. This is the transformation. And it begins the moment you decide that your vision matters more than your fear. Clarity is not found by waiting. It is forged there through movement. Most people are paralyzed because they are trying to see the entire path before taking the first step. They want guarantees. They want certainty. They want a roadmap free of obstacles, but that is not how greatness is built. Clarity reveals itself in layers. One step leads to the next. One decision unlocks another. And the path becomes visible only to those who are moving. Imagine standing in complete darkness with only a small flashlight. You cannot see the entire road ahead, but you can see a few steps forward. And as you walk, the light moves with you, revealing more of the path. That is how execution works. You do not need to see everything. You only need to move. Your vision demands discipline, not motivation, not inspiration, discipline. Because motivation fades, inspiration fluctuates, but discipline remains. It is the bridge between intention and reality. It is the force that carries you forward when your emotions fail you. The world is filled with people who start strong and finish nowhere. They begin with excitement, with passion, with energy, but they lack the structure to sustain it. And so they quit, they drift, they settle. But you are not here to start. You are here to finish. And finishing requires a level of commitment that most people are unwilling to give. It requires waking up when you don't feel like it. It requires working when no one is watching. It requires pushing forward when progress feels invisible. It requires becoming obsessed with execution, because success is not built in moments of comfort. It is built in moments of resistance. And every time you choose discipline over ease, you are casting a vote for the person you are becoming. There will be days when doubt creeps in, days when your progress feels insignificant, days when your vision feels distant. In those moments, you must remember this. Growth is invisible before it is undeniable. The seed does not break through the soil the moment it is planted. It grows in silence, in darkness, in conditions that appear lifeless. But beneath the surface, transformation is taking place. And one day, it emerges strong, unstoppable, unquestionable. You are in that process right now, even when you cannot see it. So do not measure your progress by what is visible. Measure it by your consistency, by your willingness to continue, by your refusal to quit. Execution without fear does not mean the absence of fear. It means the mastery of it. It means feeling the doubt and moving anyway. It means hearing the voice of uncertainty and acting anyway. It means stepping into the unknown with conviction, not because you are guaranteed success, but because you refuse to live a life defined by hesitation. Because in the end, the greatest regret is not failure. It is never trying. It is knowing you had a vision and choosing safety over possibility. It is standing at the end of your life, wondering what could have been if you had only been brave enough to act. So this is your moment, not tomorrow, not someday, now, to decide that your vision is worth the risk, that your potential is worth the effort, that your future is worth the discomfort, to stop waiting, to stop doubting, to stop negotiating with fear, and to execute relentlessly, unapologetically, without hesitation. Because the life you are meant to live is not found in comfort. It is forged in action. And the only thing standing between your vision and your reality is the courage to begin. And once you begin, something shifts, not in the world around you, but within you. Because action has a way of silencing the chaos that lives in the mind. the overthinking, the second guessing, the endless analysis that keeps most people trapped in a loop of hesitation. The moment you move, even imperfectly, you interrupt that cycle. You replace doubt with direction, you replace fear with focus, and slowly, almost quietly, you begin to trust yourself. That trust is everything, because without it, you will constantly look outward for validation. You will measure your worth by opinions, your progress by applause, your direction by approval, and the world will pull you in 1,000 different directions, leaving you exhausted, confused, and disconnected from your own vision. But when you trust yourself, you become anchored. You move with certainty, even in uncertainty. You act with conviction, even when results are delayed. You build an internal foundation that no external circumstance can shake. And that is where true power lies. You must become obsessed with the process, not the outcome, not the recognition, not the reward, the process. Because outcomes are unpredictable. Recognition is inconsistent. Rewards are delayed. But the process, the daily actions, the habits, the discipline, that is where you have control. And control is what eliminates fear. Fear thrives in uncertainty. It feeds on the unknown. But when you lock into a process, when you commit to showing up every day, executing your plan, refining your craft, you remove the chaos that fear depends on. You create structure, you create rhythm, you create momentum, and momentum is a powerful force. It turns small actions into massive results. It compounds effort into exponential growth. It transforms ordinary individuals into unstoppable forces. But momentum requires consistency, and consistency requires commitment, not when you feel like it, not when it's convenient, but every single day, even when progress feels slow, even when results are invisible, even when doubt whispers that it's not working. Because the moment you stop, you break the chain. And starting again is always harder than continuing. There is a level of focus required for greatness that most people will never understand. A level of intensity, a level of dedication, a level of sacrifice. Because you cannot build something extraordinary while living an ordinary mindset. Distractions must be eliminated. Excuses must be destroyed. Comfort must be questioned. You cannot say you want success and then spend your time in environments that drain your energy, with people who dilute your vision, engaging in habits that weaken your discipline. Everything in your life must align with your goal, your thoughts, your actions, your environment, your standards, because success is not a single act. It is a system, and every part of that system must work together. You will outgrow people. You will outgrow environments. You will outgrow versions of yourself. And that process will not always feel good. There will be moments of loneliness, moments where you feel disconnected from who you used to be, but not yet fully aligned with who you are becoming. Moments where the path feels isolating. But understand this, growth requires separation. You cannot evolve while holding on to everything that kept you the same. The habits that once felt comfortable will begin to feel limiting. The conversations that once entertained you will begin to feel empty. The mindset that once defined you will begin to feel outdated. And that is not loss. That is transformation. You are not losing your identity. You are upgrading it. Resilience is not built in moments of ease. It is forged in moments of pressure, when things go wrong, when plans fall apart, when progress stalls, when failure hits, and it will. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. Because failure is not an obstacle to success. It is the path. Every mistake carries a lesson. Every setback carries information. Every failure brings you closer to mastery if you are willing to learn. But most people are not. They take failure personally. They allow it to define them. They let it reinforce their fears. And so they quit. But you must see failure differently. You must see it as feedback, as refinement, as necessary. Because the only way to avoid failure is to avoid action. And avoiding action guarantees a life of mediocrity. There is a difference between interest and commitment. Interest says, I'll try. Commitment says, I will. Interest waits for the right conditions. Commitment creates them. Interest looks for shortcuts. Commitment builds systems. Interest fades when things get hard. Commitment intensifies. If you are merely interested in your vision, you will find reasons to stop. But if you are committed, you will find ways to continue. And that difference will determine everything. Gratitude is not weakness. It is strength. Because it shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present, from scarcity to abundance, from frustration to appreciation. And that shift changes your energy. It changes your mindset. It changes your ability to see opportunities where others see obstacles. You cannot build a powerful future with a negative perspective. You cannot attract growth while dwelling in limitation. Gratitude grounds you. It reminds you that you are already equipped with more than enough to begin. And that realization fuels action. Adaptability is the silent weapon of those who succeed. Because no plan survives unchanged. No path is perfectly linear. No journey is without unexpected turns. You will have to adjust. You will have to pivot. You will have to evolve. And those who resist change will break under pressure. But those who embrace it will rise. Because adaptability keeps you moving. It keeps you flexible. It keeps you aligned with reality instead of attached to expectation. And that is how you stay in the game long enough to win. Execution without fear is not about being reckless. It is about being decisive. It is about trusting your ability to figure things out as you go. It is about understanding that perfection is not required to begin. Only action is, because perfection is a moving target, an illusion that keeps people stuck in preparation, waiting, delaying, avoiding. But action cuts through that illusion. It creates progress. It creates learning. It creates results. And results build confidence. At some point, you must stop consuming and start creating. Stop watching. Stop waiting. Stop learning endlessly without applying. Because knowledge without execution is wasted potential. And potential means nothing if it is never realized. You do not need more information. You need more action. You need more courage. You need more willingness to step into discomfort and do the work. This is where most people fall behind. They mistake preparation for progress. They convince themselves they are moving forward because they are learning, planning, thinking. But movement without execution is stagnation, and time does not wait. Every day you delay is a day you do not get back. Every opportunity you hesitate on is one that may never return. Every moment you choose comfort over growth is a moment that widens the gap between your vision and your reality. So you must decide, not casually, not temporarily, but fully, completely, that you are done waiting, done hesitating, done negotiating with fear, that you will act even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's uncertain, even when it's difficult, because that is the price of transformation, and it is a price worth paying. You were not given this vision to ignore it. You were not given this potential to waste it. You were not given this life to play small. There is something within you that demands more, that knows you are capable of more, that refuses to accept anything less. And that voice will not go away. It will follow you. It will push you. It will remind you again and again of what you could become, until you either answer it or spend your life running from it. So answer it with action, with discipline, with execution, without fear. Because everything you are searching for, everything you are capable of, everything you are meant to become is waiting on the other side of the one decision: to move forward, no matter what.